So it's 1:15 and I am going to get started. I'm just going to check in the chat, and it would be great if somebody could just give me a thumbs up that you're hearing me okay. I know that Hannah is going to be taking your questions in the chat. Hannah, perhaps you could just confirm in the chat that we're broadcasting all right. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me. Today, I am going to share my screen and I'm going to request that now. I have to share. Thank you. So I'm going to share from the current slide. And today, I'm going to take you through 12 actions that you can take over the holiday break. And I'm doing that because I know most of us who run our own businesses never really completely take those 2 weeks off over the kind of Christmas, New Year period, do we? But if you are going to be taking time and going into your office, I believe it should be really productive and really focused. So today, in just 30 minutes, I'm going to give you 12 things that I think you can do in just 1 hour a day. I'm not going to tell you about myself. This is about making sure you get the best value out of this session. So if you want to know more about me, look me up on LinkedIn and let's connect. So, my very first task, I suggest you start with a digital audit. Have a look online. This comes under your marketing for your business. And if your marketing isn't consistent, people get confused very easily. So if I find you on Facebook and I also find you on LinkedIn, is it the same photograph? Do your profiles say basically the same things? Are they up to date? If I find you on Google Business, and I hope I can, is your phone number correct? These kind of tiny details really make a difference in your business. And this is something you can do really simply. So check your links are working, check that information you've shared on there is right. And if your photograph is 10 years old, now is the time to take a new one. Get somebody you really love to take a picture of you. A great friend is often the person to ask because they'll catch you in a moment that you'll never catch in a selfie, and share that. And make sure that your branding is consistent. And branding is a big topic. It's not just a logo. Spend time exploring, am I using the same fonts everywhere? Do I look like the same business no matter where you find me? Daily task number 2, and yes, we're going to fly through these today because, as I said, we've only got 30 minutes. This is about that thing none of us really like to tackle. And I find that really odd these days because actually, as a business owner that's growing my business, I love seeing what the state my finances are in. I love to see, have I invoiced more this year than I did last year? And where have I invoiced it? Which of my products have actually proved to be really successful? Which of the services I offer am I spending most of my time delivering? So go through, what have I spent and what have I invoiced in the last year? And have I categorized these before? Have I actually been really honest about what I'm spending my budget on? And if you're not, you're kind of tricking yourself out of growing your own business. You need to know where you're investing your time and your money. Look at major expense areas and ask yourself, could I actually be spending less on this? Am I perhaps doubling up on payments for things? It constantly aggravates me how many of the online apps or platforms have an overlap in their services. So you realize you're paying, for example, for cloud storage on 3 different platforms. Do you really need to be? Have a look at when your contracts with them expire. Often these are just on a monthly basis. Choose the one you really want to keep. don't forget to transfer everything and get that done. It could save you lots of money in the year ahead. And take a look at some accounting software. You, unless you are an accountant, shouldn't be spending hours doing your accounts. It should be simple and straightforward and something that's easy to maintain. So find an app or a program that works for you, and it will transform the way you feel for next year about doing that accounting. Number 3, think about your top 3 business goals for next year. This is a big part of planning your business, and it's a big part of success. And we always used to talk about SMART goals, didn't we? Goals that were specific, measurable, achievable, and time bound. But I would add exciting. If your goals don't excite you, you're not really setting goals. You're just making a list of things you have to do, and they're very different. So these should be things that you get excited about. Personally, I use what we call the 10-3-1 principle for setting my goals. I set a goal that I think will take me 10 months to achieve. I set myself a goal that I think I can achieve in 3 months. And I set myself a goal that I can achieve this month. Now, the brilliant thing, of course, about this is I'm going to achieve 12 of those 1-month goals every year. And I'm going to achieve 4 of those 3-month goals every year. And my 10-month goal, well, that's about being realistic and saying, allowing 2 extra months in my year where I believe I will have already completed that goal, perhaps is a chance for any overlap, but it's also a chance to say, actually, this goal's been such a success. I want to get started on my next one before next year. Why wait for January? Now, I'm a great believer in some accountability. If you're going to achieve a goal, somebody else has to know you're working towards it. So tell someone, tell somebody that you know will say, you haven't given me any progress reports on that in a while. Have you given up? Have you got stuck? Can I help? Share that goal and acknowledge your progress every week. This week, I took these steps towards my goal, even if they were one step. Because until we acknowledge our progress, we don't really acknowledge that we're achieving big things. Those tiny, tiny steps get forgotten, but those tiny steps are often the ones that require the most effort. Now, a daily task for day 4, go through your client list. And if you haven't got one, if you don't have one place with all of the details of all of your clients and everything you've done for them, you're really missing out on a massive opportunity to work with people again. So I encourage you, maybe you need an extra day, set that up first. But go through them and have a look. Is their contact information correct? Have you segmented them so that you understand their different types of client, or people who like to spend different amounts of money with you? Or perhaps you have repeat clients and you want to offer them some kind of extra thing every year as an acknowledgement of that. Thank your clients. I've already decided 31st of January. It happens to be Hot Chocolate Day. I'm happy with a National Hot Chocolate Day, but I'm going to make sure that my loyal clients receive a little pack of hot chocolate from me on that day. Think about little tiny gestures that say, thank you, I see you, you have helped me to develop and grow this business. And then set 4 dates, 1 a quarter, for your promotions directly aimed at these existing clients for next year. And I'm not a big fan of freebies or giving reductions on what we do, but I am a big fan in acknowledging our important and regular clients and saying, I think you matter. I'm not going to put all my effort into finding new clients all the time. I'm actually going to look after you. So think about 4 things you could offer them or do for them next year that make them feel like you value them as much as you actually do. Day 5. We're doing all right with time, aren't we? Social media. This is either one of the greatest joys or biggest banes of your life. Nobody ever says, "Oh yeah, it's all right." They kind of rave about it or they despise it. And I think a lot of the fear around our social media is this idea of what on earth am I going to say? And how do I decide to do that? Well, I have created an outline for you suggesting how you can plan your content and what type of content that could be. If you message me, if you follow up with me after this and either mention the workshop on LinkedIn or leave me some feedback on LinkedIn or Google about the workshop, I'll share that with you for nothing. But draft a plan, and I would suggest you do it for a quarter at least, so that you know that first quarter of the year is taken care of. And as you're halfway through the first month of that, start looking at your next quarter and what you're going to plan to do for that too. Yes, of course, you want to focus on your promotions. What are the new business ideas that you need to get seen and heard? But make sure you're storytelling. People love stories. As celebrants, we know this. Celebrants tell the stories of people and their lives. So tell stories and make them about you, make them about other people's experiences of working with you. And of course, share testimonials. What was that experience of working with you like? If you can get people to give you a video testimonial, all the better. I always ask my students for these. I don't always get them because we don't all love doing videos. But if you can ask people and they would do a testimonial of 30 to 45 seconds for you, sharing that on your social media will get you a sense of credibility and it builds your status. It's also seen as more believable because thanks to AI, people are questioning, sadly, more and more whether written testimonials on websites are from real people. So this becomes more and more important to see if you can get somebody to do that on a video. If you're running workshops, by the way, or you're holding events where people attend, I would recommend setting up a camera during the breaks and inviting people to come and talk to the camera and share what they're experiencing in that moment. It's the "will you send me a testimonial" that tends to stop it happening because people's lives happen and they forget. Now, I would aim to post 3 days every week. It's enough. We are obsessed with this idea that if we're not posting every minute of every day, somehow we're losing out. I would say set a time and a number of posts that you're actually going to be consistent and able to achieve. And 3 days a week feels manageable for most of us. And you're going to need to engage, not just shout. A very, very brilliant person once taught me that social media is like a telephone, not a megaphone. So it's a two-way conversation. And if you are not engaging, if you are not commenting on other people's posts, why on earth would they bother to come and comment on yours? Day 6, we're halfway through. It's a really, really good idea to have a look at the thing that's been working best for you in this last year and think, how am I going to make sure you are also performing at that level for me next year? What did I do that has made this become so much of a big deal? Have a really good look at it. Why did it bring in such a good proportion of your income? Was it the way you promoted it? Was it a particular aspect of it? Was it the feedback that you got that you then adapted? Understanding why it was a success is really important if you want to repeat it. So look at what worked well and look at what could work even better. What could you add to it or adapt or change to make it an even better service or product for next year? And also think about how you can streamline all the admin that goes into it. I am a huge fan of 17 hats. If you don't know it or you are considering using it, do get in touch with me. I have a link I can share with you I don't get a payment for that. You get a 50% discount off your first year. For me, it's been a really interesting way of managing my from kind of first contact right the way through working with clients through various training courses. I use it when I work with the clients that I coach, and I use it with the clients who have taken me on as a celebrant. So it might be helping them plan a wedding, it might be someone I'm working with to organise a life celebration. But I have found it a really great system that allows me to streamline the effort behind the scenes that goes into these best services or products. And then consider bundling this with something else. The first time I heard about this, of course, was from my brilliant daughter, who said, you know, you could offer another product that feels related to that training course. And this platform will automatically show that to your interested students. Great idea. And of course, you can add a little extra thing that makes it better value for money if you get the two things together. Day 7. I'd really, really encourage you to do this, to create a very simple and really only 3 or 5 question customer or client survey. If you are not already doing this, this can be something that you send to an enormous proportion of your clients because it's a new thing. What I would start with is sending it to anybody who has not yet left you a testimonial. Because this is your way of not just saying, please tell me I'm brilliant. You're actually saying, please tell me what you enjoyed about working with me, but also what I could do better. And that really matters, that we ask people for that kind of feedback and that we show we are interested in improving, and we know that we all always can. I would send them to every client from this year who hasn't sent you a testimonial, and I would use something like MailerLite or Google Forms to do this for you, because again, that streamlines the process really nicely. Day 8. Wow, an organized workspace is such a big deal. I really got very excited when I got my own room in our cottage, and it's not a big cottage, so taking a whole room for me felt a little bit self-indulgent at first. But I've realised that when I have a workspace in which I feel motivated, in which I feel relaxed and comfortable, I produce not just more, but higher quality as well. So take an hour in your physical workspace and declutter. What is on your desk that perhaps doesn't need to be? And also, what have you surrounded yourself with? You'll see on the walls behind me, it's not that I don't have things in my office, but I have things that I enjoy, things that I like looking at, things that during a quiet moment, like my books, I might take one down and sit and have a read. File away your documents. My big filing cabinet in the corner of my office may not be a thing of beauty, but it stops me having paperwork everywhere. And get rid of that paperwork you don't need. Check for your own profession, but I've never kept business paperwork longer than 7 years. And that's when we were a limited company for my husband's business. So how long do you actually need to be keeping these records? And make sure you're shredding them to protect, of course, under GDPR. You are responsible for getting rid of that potentially important information in a way that's confidential. And then do the same in your digital space. I'm always horrified by how long I spend searching for things that I know I've written or I know I've created, because I cannot remember exactly where I filed them. It could be a really good time to say, I'm going to put my digital workspace in order. When did you last look at your Dropbox account or go through literally the files in your Word space? Clear them out. Get rid of things you don't need. You're going to love finding all those half-finished projects. And make a commitment for 2025 to minimise paper use. It really is time for us to stop printing things off. So think about how you could do that. And if you are one of those people, and there are lots of us, who really find it hard to read from a screen and need a physically printed version, think about where you're getting that paper from. Is it recycled? And what are you going to do with it once you've read it or used the information on it? Day 9. I'd really love you to review your pricing strategy. We're all tempted when times are tough to lower prices or to offer special discounts. Black Friday feels like it's become a month-long exercise of outpricing our competitors, offering more and more free, which actually to me just completely undervalues what you offer year round. So now could be a really good time to get real with yourself about this and to take an hour to look at how competitive am I in the market out there? If I'm offering my services at 30% lower than my nearest competitors or the average price, what does that really say about me? Does that mean I'm great value? Or does that mean people are not even considering me because they think I'm cheap? And surely if I'm cheap, there's a catch. And they just won't pursue. So look at market rates, look at your perceived value. How do people look at your service and say, this is how important this is to me and my business? Virtual assistants, and yes, I'm addressing this to my daughter too, as much as anyone else, I think are one of the most undervalued by themselves people in any role, because they're thinking, how can I justify charging this per hour for doing this job that I find quite straightforward? Perhaps the way to look at that is, how many hours at their hourly rate, my client's hourly rate, am I actually saving them? Because I'm quite sure you would find you are way undervaluing, and our perceived value of ourselves often means we way price ourselves far too low. So have a look at that. There are, of course, those of us who become overconfident, and then we're perhaps thinking we add more value than we do. Look at that. Be really objective. Is the price I'm charging for this actually worth what I'm offering, or do I need to adjust that and offer a bit more? And I would always say offer a bonus extra to people rather than offering discounts. I offer 2 6-week training programs, and if you purchase both of them, you get a bonus of a 3 hours coaching with me anytime in your first year. You do not get a discount on the price because you bought 2. And I personally think one of the things we need to do, and we're really rubbish at because it feels like it's all about me, is we need to demonstrate where we add value. When you describe your services or your product, don't just, don't give me a list of what it can do. Explain to me why that adds value. Show me that it's going to save me time or effort or money, and I begin to understand the true value of what you're really offering me. Number 10, schedule your seasonal promotions. And I would say not just potentially for 2025, but even for 2026. Look at some of the key dates that occur year in, year out in our calendar. Have you planned in advance for these? And have you thought about what you could offer on those days? And I don't mean a week beforehand. By doing this in our break over December, January, you could have all of these ready for the year ahead. And I would say you need to schedule around 6 weeks prior to each of these promotions, time in your diary for tasks and actions that mean you're actually ready. Everything's scheduled, everything's good to go. It's not a last minute chaotic panic. Number 11. This one can feel like a big deal, and so we tend to put it off. But actually, I do this every year now, and it's little tiny tweaks to our business policies, to our statements, to the contracts that we send out. I noticed recently that I was sending out a welcome pack to clients in a particular area that I work, where it still said at the bottom, copyright 2023. I had not updated it. Those little things make an enormous difference. So have a look at things like your inclusivity statement. If you haven't got one, I highly suggest this is the time to schedule in the time to get that written. But are you sharing it? Can people find that on your website? They need to know that's something that matters to you. Update your statement of insurance. Make sure if it's something you need to show people when you visit them, that you have the latest copy in your pack or your information. Create or update your privacy policy and make sure you have registered for GDPR. If you've missed that and it wasn't something you realized you had to do, it is never too late to get on that register. And it is actually essential that you have done so. And check that all of your terms and conditions are current. If you are not sure about this, if this is not an area of your expertise, this is something it is worth paying for to make sure you're getting it right. So schedule in an appointment with somebody who can get that done for you in the new year. Number 12. Well, number 12 really is about setting up some regular time for yourself to really acknowledge, look what I did. Look how things are going. I made progress on this. I, for a very long time, have, rather than having a traditional to-do list, because I have tasks and things assigned all over the place, I don't need another list. But one thing I do know I need is at the end of every day, before I turn off my computer, I sit with my pad and a pencil and usually a coffee, and I write my look what I did today list. And I do that so I can acknowledge, look, I made progress. I got all these things done, many of which are things I should be really proud of achieving today. So make sure that on a weekly basis, you are giving yourself time to reflect on this. How am I doing? Where have I made progress? And if I've made achievements, even if they're one little step, I deserve to acknowledge them and I deserve to celebrate them. We tend to set ourselves tasks and goals and we tick them off and say, what next? Instead of saying, oh, I did it. Take a moment and acknowledge that. You'll feel much more motivated when you start the next one. And review your progress regularly and ask for help. So often we work in isolation as business owners, especially in micro businesses. But you will find there are plenty of other business owners out there who would love a regular catch up where you say to each other, how can I help you to achieve the goals you're working towards? And it might be as simple as, can we have a weekly check-in on WhatsApp just to say, how's your week been? Or to motivate each other on a Monday morning. And make this time, this meeting you put aside for yourself, absolutely non-negotiable. This is not 15 minutes in your week you have available. This is 15 minutes for you. And you deserve to have that time. So don't ever fill it with a different appointment. So to finish, I'm going to encourage you to decide which of the steps I've shared today you're going to do first, and then schedule all of them in your calendar. I'd love to know which of the steps you're taking, and it would be great if you would talk about this on LinkedIn, and please tag me and I'll comment. If you'd like that outline I've created for social media, you are very welcome to have a copy. Anybody who posts about the workshop or shares a testimonial for it, I will make sure you get a copy of that. And I would encourage you to join me for my next LinkedIn Live, which is going to be on the 6th of February, 2025. Can't believe we're talking about February, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where I'm going to be talking about how you can harness your experience from your working life to create a new celebratory career. I very much hope you'll join me. Thank you, everybody. It's been a real pleasure. and I look forward to hearing